y'all are as sleepy as I am, but y'all might need to stand up so you don't go to sleep quickly. Y'all sing along if you know this.
About 2 or 3 weeks ago, in our Wednesday night Bible study, so we mentioned something about taking at least 5 minutes out of the day to pray. kind of what the song's about.
Tried to get right in it, not to do the announcements this morning again, but he didn't want to. You know, he talks real well. Natalie said he talks a lot. He talks real well. In the We have a dummy roping here Friday night. Books open at 7. We'll rope at 7:30. It'll be a pick one, draw two. I think it's $5 to get up in that. So, and it'll be in here. It won't be out there. So, we ran through it pretty quick the last time. We was out here about 11, 12, something like that. It won't be. But it is Friday night, so you don't have to get up and come to church on the day. You can sleep in a little bit on Saturday. Saturday the 11th is, we'll be cooking for the 4-H. I don't know what time we're supposed to be there for that, but I guess we'll let you know. 7. See. Okay. 7. If you want to help cook, we'll take all the help we can get. Is it in Houston? Well, I just want to send you the breakfast sign up. There's a sheet back there. If you want to sign up and try breakfast, I think someone tried it this morning and like it. They're going to check their calendar and see what time next year they can do it again. It's not really that bad if you want to try cooking breakfast, we supply the food, you just supply the bodies, and we'll try to help you if we can be here. We weren't here this morning, we slept a little late, but they've done a good job. Director sign up. Natalie is going to start trying to put together the church directory. If you want your name, address, phone number, that kind of stuff, there's some sheets back there on the table, right beside the breakfast sign up. When you sign up for breakfast, you sign up on that, and we'll put you in, I don't know what kind of book it's going to be. Anyway, it'll be a church director, but she's going to start putting that together this week. So if you want your name in there, just sign up back there. Hey, Donna, you got that tax stuff? Huh? All right. If you want your time sheet for tax purposes, you can see Donna. I think if you wrote a check, you got one. I guess it's not how it works. Yeah, if it's over 100 or something, yeah. If you wrote a check, you give it over 100, you can see her and you can file that on your taxes. Is there anything else? Yeah, Joe was, I don't know much about the baby models. It is that much of a year where you just have to deal with and all that, so he'll take care of that. John played one.
Sun is sinking fast. I'm racing.
stand up again. Change around. You see somebody here? See somebody here that you hadn't seen in a while, or that you don't know at all? Know them before this thing is over. We'll drag this song out a little bit, but y'all go around, shake some hands, tell somebody it's good to see them, give them a hug. Be careful with Randy, she's hurting. Don't hug her too hard. Don't say
show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down. Let's go down. Come on down. Come on, brothers, let's go down. Down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, fathers, let's go down. Let's go down. Come on down. Oh, fathers, let's go down. Down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, mothers, let's go down. Come on down. Don't you wanna go down? Come on, mothers, let's go down. Down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sinners, let's go down. Let's go down. Come on down. Oh, sinners, let's go down. Down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way.
Yesterday turned out to be a little bit more of an adventure than we had intended. If you got your Bibles with you this morning, turn to Matthew chapter 19. Now, whenever you start reading through the Gospels and you go through each one of them, when you start through, there's a few things that is in every Gospel. I'm ready. I think that's me. Yeah. I'm ready. Is there anything y'all do about that? a glass of water at my work. I know Brian's got me something that'll help. But, hey, I can hear you. I don't know if y'all can hear me, but I can hear you. But anyway, what I want you to look at this morning is repeated in all four Gospels. We're going to read it from Luke chapter 19 at verse 13. It says, "Then the children were brought to him, that he may lay his hands on them and pray. The disciples rebuked the people, but Jesus said, Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for to such belongs the kingdom of heaven. And he laid his hands on them and went away." Let's pray. Father, I thank you for the worship time that we've already had this morning. Father, I thank you for each and every person that's come out today. And Father, I ask now as we go in this time of study, Father, that you would remove my words from me. And Father, that you would replace them with yours and yours alone. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Now, there are very few topics that I am as passionate about as I am today's topic. And there's a bit out here. Got these over here, we'll get to those in a minute. But if you were born after 1974 and you were once a kid, raise your hand. That's all the people we got in here that were born after 1974.
Oh,
The rest of
I
y'all
was born
weren't
after
kids.
1974.
I know there's more than that. If you were born after 1974, y'all can't hear? Everybody's really in, they can't hear me. I'm real sad.
That's just so fuzzy.
Hey, it's over here. All right. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay. Eventually, we'll get the wireless mic thing worked out. Maybe. I don't know. But, okay, now that you can hear me, maybe that was what it was. How many people in here were born after 1974 and was once a kid? Okay, that's better. We got more old people than I thought. But that's okay. I couldn't raise my hand either. So, anyway, if you were born after 1974, you are blessed more than all the others. Did y'all know that? You know why you're blessed more than all the others if you were born after 1974? Because if you were born before 1974, actually 1973, your mother was stuck with you. And then all of a sudden in 1973, the Supreme Court of the United States said, you're not something that people have to be stuck with anymore. You're a choice. Wow. You're a choice. You know, I don't care whether you were born before 1974 or after 1974 or in 1974 for that matter. You aren't a choice. God didn't put you here to be a choice. You see, popular culture wants us to think of life as a choice. It comes up over and over again that women have a right to their own reproductive health. Okay, ladies, you do have a right to your own reproductive health. That means don't do what causes that, and it won't happen. Okay? But once it happens, you don't have a choice anymore. You've made your choice. Okay? You see, we have an epidemic in this country. Do y'all know what the number one killer in the United States today is according to the CDC? It's heart disease. Heart disease is going to kill somewhere just shy of 1 million people in the United States this year. Somewhere around 1 million people are going to die of heart disease. The second leading cause of death in the United States is cancer. Somewhere between 585,000 and 600,000 people are going to die of cancer in the United States this year. So that's about, add them all together, you got about 1.5 million people in the United States are going to die this year. with heart disease and cancer alone. Do you know how much money is paid out to try to stop that from happening? How much money is spent on research to try to stop cancer? You know, in our church right now, we're not a big church, but in our church, we've got multiple people who are fighting a battle against cancer. And there's tons and tons and tons of research that's been done, and it is amazing what they've been able to do to try to get that number down, because there was a time when the percentage of the population made that the number was not that much higher, but the percentage of the population was much higher that died of cancer. And if you were diagnosed with cancer, it was a death sentence, that you weren't going to make it past 5 years. But there's been tons and tons and tons of money that's been spent to try to figure out how to fix that problem. You know, one of the reasons that we do that, we want people to be able to be healthy, but we also want them to be able to be healthy and happy and productive citizens. The Declaration of Independence, it's been a lot of years since I memorized this, so maybe I can remember it, but the founding fathers writing in the Declaration of Independence says, we hold these truths to be self-evident. And what self-evident means? It means you ought to get it through common sense, but common sense just seems to not be that common. But you should get it just through common sense. You don't have to read a book. It should be self-evident. Okay? And it goes on to say that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that men are created equal, with certain unalienable rights: life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. You know, the amazing thing is that the first thing that they throw out there is the first right, that ought to be common sense, that you ought to get it, is life. Makes sense. You know, if you're alive, you ought to think everybody else gets the same right. Okay? Well, when we look at the leading causes of death, the amount of money that's raised, and what is happening. Now, we got some other issues in our country that we look at from a political point of view. Those that are in here today, that if you were born after 1974, the odds of you collecting Social Security is not nearly as good as those people who were born before 1974. Because we know Social Security is busted. All right, we know that. Just presidential election brings that up. Social Security is busted. We also know we've got an illegal immigration problem. Somewhere between 10 and 20 million illegal immigrants working in the United States. And most of them holding a job. That's pretty good. We've got a $20 trillion deficit. I don't know exactly how many zeros you put after 2 to get 20 trillion. I'd have to write it down. I couldn't just come up with that off the top of my head. $20 trillion. Every man, woman, and child in the United States owes something like $70,000 the moment they're born. You're born owing $70,000, and then you just keep, tacking on to that. And that number goes up, and it goes up, and it goes up. Another problem that we have is we have, since the early 90s, we have shipped jobs all over the world. Donald Trump says he's going to bring all that back. I voted for it. I'm going to trust he's going to get that done. He's going to start bringing those jobs back. Now, all of you are thinking, what in the world has this got to do with church? That's running through more than one person's mind. It's like, he's running for Congress, isn't he? Well, all of those things have a common root, but we fly right over the common root. 1.5 million people are going to die this year in the United States of cancer and heart disease. 1.5 million people are going to cease to be productive citizens in our country. And that is a tragedy. And we're spending as much money and doing as much research as we possibly can. And as God guides and directs and leads and guides these folks to find cures. That's going to eat up 1.5 million of our productive population. Here's a scary stat for you today. That takes the two biggest killers on the list to get to 1.5 million. 1.3 million babies are going to be the wrong choice this year. 1.3 million babies this year. Since 1973, over 60 million babies have been offered at the altar as a sacrifice to choice. Do you know why we have 15 million illegal immigrants in the United States? Because there's work for them here. You know why there's work here for 15 million illegal immigrants? Because we aborted 60 million productive citizens. Do you know why Social Security is busted? Because we aborted 60 million productive citizens to pay into Social Security. Because the way Social Security works is this generation pays for the older generation, and the older generation paid for the generation that come before that. In the next generation, my kids are supposed to pay into Social Security to take care of me. Does anybody know what the population of the United States is at the last census? It's about time for another one. But the last census had us 315 million people in the United States. 315 million people in the United States. That's a bunch of folks. Now we're closer, they say, like 325. 325 million people. Now, I wasn't great at math, and I'm definitely not a math major, but it's real easy whenever you get down to those kind of fractions, because 60 is a nice even number whenever you go trying to get it into 300. It's like a fifth. How much money, how much time would be spent to try to figure out how to solve a problem that destroyed a fifth of the population? So we need to get these numbers in our heads. We need to get them wrapped around us. See, we look at all the problems that are going on in the United States, and we look at them from all kind of different perspectives, but we never stop and look at it and say, you know, what really caused that? Well, we've got this one thing over here that we can't talk about because it's a dirty, nasty little secret that we don't want to talk about. That we're killing off whole generations of people. The United States is the most sophisticated, industrialized nation on the face of the planet. I don't even think there's much argument for that from people around the rest of the world. Scariest thing about that is we have the most liberal abortion laws of any country that's considered an industrialized nation. Scariest thing that we can possibly imagine is the fact that in the United States today, you can be 39 and a half weeks pregnant. You can have a baby that you can feel kick, that you can feel move, that you can feel an elbow sticking out. And you can go to a doctor who's willing to perform the abortion. And what he's going to do, if you got a weak stomach, don't listen. But you need to. What he's going to do is he's going to breech the baby, which is normally a bad thing, but it's in a controlled environment. So he's going to breech the baby. So it's not that bad for the mother. But when the baby is about to be born and he's coming out, and the only thing that's left is his head, he's going to stop the baby. And he sticks a needle right here, and he removes his brain. And that's legal. Do you know what would happen if I did that to a puppy and got caught? It'd be ugly. They'd lock me up. But I could have done it to any one of my kids. My wife wanted to. And it was perfectly legal. And then there'd be those people that would have stood beside her and said, you can't judge her. It's her life. It's her choice. I read a story one time, and it's always stuck in my mind, and it always will. And I can't quote the whole story, but I can quote the part that has always stuck in my mind. It was a story about a guy who went to heaven. And he got there, and You know, when we think about going to heaven, each and every one of us think about when we get there, we got all these questions we're going to ask. We're going to ask, why'd you let this happen? Why'd you let that happen? Why did this happen? Why did that girl break up with me in the 5th grade? I'm just curious. We got all these questions we're going to ask when we get there. And this guy gets there and he says, God, I don't understand. And I was like, well, what don't you understand, son? He said, well, on earth, we got all this death. We got all this hurt. We got all this pain. And we got people that's dying of cancer. They're dying of heart disease. We got all this crazy stuff that's going on. And God, you just let it happen. He said, why do people have to die of cancer? He said, well, I sent you somebody to fix that. The guy's like, well, why? Why did he fix it? You sent me somebody to fix it. Why didn't they fix it? And I says, well, you aborted them. You see, I don't know about every person that's ever born. If God has a plan for you before you're born, I believe that you do. But I can't 100% do that in Scripture. What God's plan for you is, and your free will collide, and it creates some stuff that gets pretty deep in some theology that we can't cover in 20 minutes. Okay? We can't cover it in days and get it all covered. But I do know that God told Jeremiah, He told him, said before, it says in Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 5, it says, before I knitted you together in your mother's womb, I knew what you were going to be. I consecrated you a prophet. Before you ever were, I had a plan for you, Jeremiah. Before you were born, I already knew what you were going to be born to be. So I know some people are knitted together in their mother's womb with a purpose in mind. I believe that every one of us are. I believe God has something for us. Psalms 139, verse 13 down through about 16. The psalmist is writing here and he says, for you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there were none of them. See, that means that God has a plan for every single one of us. While He's putting us together, He's got a plan in mind for you and what He desires for you to accomplish. That means somewhere in 60 plus million people, through our free will and the consequences that come from our free will, out of those 60 million people, I promise you, one of them would have been productive. Truth is, most of them would have been productive. Yeah, some of them wouldn't have been. But that's not for you to choose. Some of us aren't very productive some days either. Convenience is not an excuse to offer a child. The thought of offering a child on an altar of a false god would be repulsive to every person in America. But to offer a child at the altar of capitalism and convenience in the name of choice is okay. Now let's apply this to the church. How did we get here? Because the church chose to shut up and do nothing. Let me tell you why. 300 million people in America. Let's just do some quick math real quick together. That's a fifth of the population, but just for, benefit of the doubt, let's say that of all the abortions that was ever performed, every woman that ever had an abortion had 2. Okay? So that means out of 60 million abortions, there was 30 million women that had to have 2 abortions. 30 million, okay, that's a tenth of the population. Well, let's just say that every one of those women that had an abortion conceived by the same guy. Okay, so we're back up to our 60 million number because it's 30 million hers and 30 million hims to get that number done. So we're back to 60 million. So we're back to a fifth of the population. Now, how does that affect people? Well, 60 million people are directly affected by the abortion itself. That's a father who was never a father, a mother who was never a mother, and that's 2 kids that was never born in that scenario. Now, the last time I checked, every mother had a father and a mother. And we can't get into those numbers and make everybody family. So that means that every mother had a father and a mother, so it's another 60 million people. That's a mother and a father who had a mother and a father that was never a granddaddy or grandmother. And now you're at 120 million people. But you can't stop there. No way to stop there because we still got daddy. Daddy might be a deadbeat, but we still got daddy. We got 30 million daddies, and the last time I checked, those 30 million daddies had to have a daddy and a mama. So we got another 60 million. 60 million people that are never going to be a grandmother, never going to be a grandfather to those 30 million babies, 60 million babies that were never born. Now we're at 180 million people. Now, the latest censuses and the latest numbers says that we still have 75% of the U.S. population consider themselves to be Christian, evangelical, Catholic, something in the what's considered Christian denomination. 75% of 300 million is some odd number I can't come up with real quick off the top of my head, but let's say 225 million people. So thereabouts, okay? 225 million people. Well, now we've run into a dilemma. 225 million God-fearing men, women, and children. But we've got 180 million that is affected by a decision. 180 million. Well, we got 300 million. We take away 180 million. You got 120 million folks left, and our numbers start to overlap. And then we get into the problem. From 1973 all the way up through the 80s, the church was very silent on the issue of abortion. And then finally, a younger generation came along because the younger generation, the kids in here today, get this issue better than the adults. They grasp it better than the grown-ups. Because the kids today, they may not have common sense in some areas that we think they should, but they got common sense to be able to look around and see what's going on in the world and look at things and know what a life is. Now, when you get into those numbers and you project them out, what that means is deacon so-and-so, brother so-and-so, it's a real good chance he loaded up his kid and drove him across a state line somewhere for an abortion. And he came back home and made sure nobody ever knew what happened because it might bust up his thought process. It might bust up what the community thinks about him. It might bust up his nice little neat world. I'd like to say that's never happened, and there's somebody here that's probably thinking it's blown out of proportion, but there's over half of you here that know somebody got put through that hell. When we start to think about all of that, and we put it together, Folks, the number one issue we got to fix in America is getting back to what was our number one issue day one. And that is that we hold these truths to be self-evident. Common sense. That all men are created equal. Endowed by their Creator. Not by choice. Not by evolution. Not by the primordial ooze that somehow or another turned into something that wasn't. Has a right to life. You don't know what that life is going to be. We can fix our problems, but we got to start where our problems started. You can build a wall between here and Mexico, all the way across. You can build a moat, for that matter, and put alligators in that joker if that's what you want to do. And if there's still jobs on this side of that wall, and there's not jobs over there, and we don't have human beings that'll take them and fill them over here, we'll find a way to get folks across the wall whenever we get them blocked. We'll send a bus over there and bring them across if that's what it takes. And if we keep killing 1.3 million productive Americans every single year that we kill based on choice, they're not sick, they're not hurt, they're nothing but potential for greatness. And we choose to never let them draw a breath. It starts with us. It starts with Christians being willing to stand up and say it's wrong. And there's another part to this story. It starts with Christians being willing to put their arm around that young lady or that older lady that made that choice and say, yeah, you made a bad choice. But God still loves you. Don't let the bad choice define you and who you are, because so often in abortion, the other side of that story is that it's not one life that's destroyed. It's two. The mother's never the same. 15 years later, she's waking up in the middle of the night with nightmares about what was, what could have been. With an empty picture frame in a bed that nobody knows what's supposed to be in the picture frame that they didn't. And the church today, by the numbers that I just gave you, has got people in it who went through the same thing, that went down that same road, who went through that same hell, and nobody knows anything about it, and they're going to keep their mouth shut forever. When at the same time there's a 17-year-old girl who made a mistake with her boyfriend 2 months ago and she just found out the results of that mistake. And she's trying to figure out what to do. And there's a sister so-and-so and a brother so-and-so sitting in a corner somewhere and they know exactly what it's like, but they're not going to say nothing to them, because to go out there and put their arm around them means they have to admit they messed up once too. Church, we're supposed to be real, and we're supposed to be loving. And that's how the church changes the world. By accepting that we're fallen, but not staying down. Getting up. And when we get up, extend a hand out to pick up somebody else that's fell down too, to put your arm around that person and tell them that you love them and that it's going to be all right. You can't undo stuff. But there's no need of messing something else up as you go forward. In church, you have to do that. See, to fight this issue, first we got to get it stopped. At the same time we're getting it stopped, we got to care for those people who've already walked down that road and let them know that Jesus Christ died for them just like they died for me. And that the sin in their life is no different than the sin in my life, and the sin in their life is no different from the sin in your life. And Jesus Christ died for that sin regardless of what that sin is. His shed blood on the cross is enough to cover your sin regardless of what you've done, regardless of the road you've walked on, regardless of the path you've chosen in life. He is ready to reach out, to touch you, and bring you from that place where you are to that place where He wants you to be, that place where He's actually died for you to be. Today is Sanctity of Human Life Sunday, for those that hadn't figured that out yet. There's a lot of holidays that come and go that I don't hit the holiday in a message. There's a lot of events that come and go that I don't hit the event in the message. I try to never miss this one, because I believe with all my heart, and I may be completely wrong, but I promise you, I believe this with all my heart. This is second to my belief in Jesus Christ. That the wreck that America has been for the last many years, in the path that we're on, comes down to one issue. One issue. When we began to offer our children at the altar of capitalism, convenience, in the name of choice, we veered off God's road. And God's blessing can never be the same. Does God still bless us? He does, without a doubt. Does He bless us like He could? No, and He can't. Why? Because He is a sovereign, holy God, and He cannot bless sin. It doesn't work that way. If we want Him to truly bless us as He has in the past, we have to get back to serving Him. If we want to fix the mess and the wreck and the problems that we have, we got to get back to serving Him. And the most innocent of all of our citizens have got to become a priority again. And that's a baby who can't do anything for himself, but is just as much alive as any one of us is. We've got these bottles up here, and they're from the Save a Life in Union County. We have Banner Pregnancy Center here in Pontotoc County. But I encourage you to get one of these bottles, take it home, fill it up with money, bring it back up here, and Amy's going to make sure they get back to the right place. We'd like to have them back by February 12th. Now, what they're going to do, and what happens at these pregnancy centers is very important, is they're going to do their best to take that mother, again, a lot of times, these are 16, 17, 18-year-old girls, 14, 15-year-old girls who made a bad decision, sometimes not by choice, just wrong place, wrong time. They go and they counsel with them about the life that is inside of them. And they take this money and they try to get them an ultrasound. Because you see, that is one of the things that we've been blessed with to have easy access to in the United States. It's not cheap, but it is accessible. 90% of the young ladies who have an ultrasound of that baby, hear that baby's heartbeat, are going to choose to let that baby live. 90%. You think what a difference in 20 years if 90% of 1.3 million live. Your Social Security system isn't busted, and if you were born after 1974, you got a shot at getting the money you paid in back, because there's a generation that's been born that's paying into the system. The tax load is lessened because you got more productive citizens paying taxes. I'm giving you the common sense look at it. But that's not the most important part. If we eliminate 90% of abortions, God's got the opportunity to bless you 90% more than He does today. Folks, this is a big issue. It's not a small issue. I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about it because I believe with all my heart. It is the biggest issue in America today. Number one, over half the busted policies we have got busted because the people who are supposed to take care of them were never born to take care of them in the first place. So take one of these, fill it up. If you're here today and you've made that choice before, God still loves you. If you've been a part of one of those decisions, God still loves you. There's some of you here today who've not made that choice and been pushed toward it. God will bless you for it. God will honor that choice for life over and over and over again. And folks, if you're here and you've never walked down that road and you've never been there, don't judge somebody who has. Instead, put your arm around them and love them. And help them to walk the path that is set before them now. Because I promise you, there are days and there are times when they hurt. And they hurt in a way you can't comprehend. But we're so quick to judge instead of lend a helping hand. Let's pray. Father, I thank you for each person that's here. Father, I thank you that you allow us to live in the greatest country on the face of the planet. And Father, I ask you to help us to turn it around and bring it back towards you. Father, I ask you to be with our leaders. Father, that they will make the right decisions. But Father, I ask you to be with us as individuals. That we can see the world through your eyes. Because that will lead us to make the right decisions. Father, I ask you to be with those folks that have been down this road. Father, pour your grace out upon them. Draw them close to you. Help them, Father, to feel your loving arm around them. And Father, help us to be willing to be your hands and feet in this issue as well as the many others. To do your will, to seek your purpose. And Father, we thank you that no matter what path we chose, no matter what path we walked, that you gave Jesus Christ for us, no matter the road. And Father, we thank you most of all for him and for his shed blood. And it's in the precious name of Jesus that I pray. Amen.